Hey, how's it going, everybody? As you can see, down here by the river today, I need to get my irrigation line run into the deep part of the river. When we first put it in, I had it just right over here by the river's edge, just enough to get it running. The water was still really cold when we put the pipe in, so I didn't want to go wading out there in the middle of it. It's been warm enough for long enough. I'm gonna walk out there and get it done, so wish me luck. All right, well, that's all done. Uh, River's a lot warmer than I thought it was going to be, which is great. Sure, you saw me struggling a little bit there. Um, the reason being, this whole, I was going to show you, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it. This whole river is like rock bottom and bits of shale, what I think is shale. I don't know, I'm no geologist. Um, in there, so you can't really like drive a stake down into the river bottom to hold the hose there. So what I was having to do was build piles of rock basically to hold it all down. Um, Hopefully it stays. We'll see. Um, but so that's done, and I think what I'm going to do now is chill on this really nice soft grass down here by the river, long enough for my feet to dry, and then we'll head back up and get the hose spliced in with our other hose, and I'll show you some other cool stuff that we're up to today. All right, so while the irrigation pump works out that big old air pocket we just put into it by putting another 30 feet of line on it, let me show you what else I'm doing while I'm here. So this is a plywood template. What we're going to do is I have a propane torch over there. I'm going to use that torch to burn these holes. This is a guide for holes for the lettuce to go into. So just one more time. These are 4-foot wide beds. It's 2 of them, 50 feet long each. So we'll burn all these holes, move the template down, burn all the holes. And what that plastic is going to do, it's going to do a couple things for us. One, it will help keep in moisture. The sun not being able to shine directly on the soil will help keep moisture in there. So there's one. Two, it'll help keep weeds from popping up everywhere. So less picking out we have to do as we harvest lettuce. And yeah, just a couple of things that it'll do for us, help make things a little easier. So while this irrigation runs, I think I'll get that torch set up and I'll start burning some holes. All right, well, burning those holes isn't exactly going as planned. Let me take you over here, show you what I'm talking about. So that is not quite exactly what I want to happen, huh? I was hoping it would just be those nice little holes. I'm getting a couple of them, like there in the center. The way this is burning, leading me to think that the issue is, well, one, the ground's not perfectly flat here, but that is what it is. The other thing is that piece of plywood that I have is a little warped, cupped like this. So I think depending on which way I have it, it's either, if it's cupped like this, it's burning the holes here in the center perfectly. And if I have it like this, then it's burning the holes on the ends fairly well. I'm going to need to revisit that. I think what I could do is probably just screw like a 2x4 onto the end to help flatten it out. But I don't have that with me. Two, I want to think on it a little bit longer before I screw up any more of this plastic. I've got more, so it's not like it's the end of the world, but I don't have an endless supply of it either. Worst comes to worst, I can always just scrap this idea, plant the lettuce in the soil with no plastic. I'll cultivate as needed. That's the way people have done it for thousands of years now. Just trying to make things a little bit easier on myself. Um, but we'll get there. We'll figure it out. This is all part of the journey, right? One last bit of bad news before we move on to some good news. So if you remember, a couple weeks ago, we planted carrots in this bed. Um, and then almost immediately after I planted those carrots, we had a nice cold spell, in the down into the 20s, mid to low 20s. And that is not great for carrots. So carrots are, I'm sure, as you know, they're the root, the orange part that you eat. It's not really a root, but whatever. And then it's got the greens. The carrots in their first year will grow down that root. They'll set up the greens. Over winter, the greens will die back. That root stores all the energy. And then come the following spring, following warm season, the plant knows it is time for me to go to seed. It's time for me to reproduce and make way for the next generation. Um, Basically, what that means is anytime carrots go through a cold spell like that, and they're not covered, mine weren't covered, they basically think it's time to go to seed. And instead of growing the root, they'll just send up flowers. It's really pretty, but not a lot of people buy carrot flowers. They buy carrots to eat, right? So what I'm going to do is basically cultivate that bed up and replant carrots. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. Our beets are finally come up. That cold spell really slowed down the germination on a lot of things. So ideally, I could probably have planted like today and be on the same schedule, even though I planted all this stuff 3 weeks ago. That's how much the cold has set us back. That's how much cold will set you back. But the beets have germinated. They're looking really good. Spinach has come up. It looks pretty good. What else do we have? We've got radishes. Those are looking fantastic. We've got turnips. Those are looking good. Baby kale and arugula. Everything's looking good. Okay. I planted stuff down here that is cold hardy, realizing it's still early. It's before our last frost. We're going to have more cold. I just didn't expect it to get that cold, which again only affects our carrots. Yeah, sorry for the ramble. Oh, here you can see our arugula coming up. That's going to be awesome. That's about 21 days to harvest. So if the weather holds, I'll have that here in a couple weeks. We got spring onions here, a little bit of Swiss chard down on the end. I don't have high hopes for that. I've never had good luck with Swiss chard. We've got kale looking here, or not looking here, it is here. It's looking kind of rough because it's like 75 degrees today and windy, so everything is dried out, hence us coming down here running the irrigation for a little bit. These two beds are planted in potatoes, therefore basically my family's consumption. I don't want to plant here just yet because these two beds and these two beds are the worst on my farm. When I put down the tarp for this area, I didn't realize that this was like the drainage section. It's just the edge of it. Most of the really bad drainage is on that side of the fence. But it's enough that this soil right here isn't as good as the stuff right next to it. So what I'm going to do is plant potatoes in here, and they should be out of here in June, maybe July. Soil will be nice and looser then, and we can plant stuff here. These two beds, I don't quite know what to do with yet. I think I'm probably just going to wind up planting a cover crop, a mixture of maybe some sorghum Sudan grass. That's what I had here last year. I don't know. I'm not decided on that just yet. But I don't know if I will be putting a lot of market crops in these 4 beds this season. Geez, if I could hold this camera, right? So it leaves us with, what is that, 22 minus 4, 18 beds to play with. I think it'll be okay. It is our first season. It's not like I'm, fantastic at planting things and getting them harvest and stacking everything. This season is more just a test to see, is this something that I really want to do? I've talked about it for 3 years. I've dreamed about it for 3 years. I absolutely love growing vegetables for my family, for my friends. I love providing for people. I think in this day and age, it's very important to have local food and even more than that, healthy food, you know, just to help with community resiliency and keeping people fed and nourished. Um, all that to say, this is basically like a trial year. If I can make enough money to go into next year, perfect. We're going to do that. And there's going to be a lot of learning this year. Going to be a lot of failures, but I'm kind of excited for that. You know, when you're failing, that's how you learn. That's how you make progress. You know, it's not like in school where you study, 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 and take a test. Life gives you the test, and you have to figure out the answer. So that's kind of what we're doing here. Kind of rambly today. I apologize for that, but yeah. And that is pretty much everything I have going on down here today. I think I'm just going to hang out down here for a little bit, run the irrigation. I'll probably cultivate that carrot bed that we talked about. I don't know if I'm going to replant it yet or not because we have like a couple days next week where it's supposed to get pretty cold. So I might wait until we get past those days. And then we're going to be pretty close to our last frost date, which is April 9th. I think we'll be close enough that I can safely plant my carrots then. I think what I'm going to do is just cultivate these out, let the bed sit for a minute, and I'm just going to keep all the rest of this stuff watered. Yeah, so like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe and share it with your friends. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. We are small enough that I do respond to everything. So see you next time, guys. Have a good one. I did just think of one last thing that I wanted to say before I actually ended this video, and that is that next weekend, April 1st, is the first farmers market of the season. I'm planning on being there. If you are local, please come say hey. It's the Salem Farmers Market here in Salem, Virginia. Downtown, can't miss it. I'm sure everybody, well, I hope. I won't say I'm sure everybody knows where it is. That's very presumptuous, isn't it? I'm going to be there. I'm going to be super nervous. I'm going to be super excited. I don't think any of this stuff is going to be ready by then. That's going to take a miracle, to say the least. But what I will have is some microgreens. We'll have pea shoots, sunflower shoots, and broccoli shoots. Not a whole lot, but it's something. It'll get us started. I'm very excited. Again, if you don't have anything better to do next Saturday, please come say hey. I would love it. All right, for real this time. Later.